We're right with you. The Morning Majority, 5 to 9 on 630 WMAL.
7:37 on the Morning Majority. We've got KT McFarland with us, Fox News national security analyst, and she hosts DEF CON 3, put it on your calendar, weekly national security show on Fox News Internet, Wednesday, 2 to 3, live.foxnews.com. How's it going, KT?
Everything's great.
Good. Tell me a little bit about what you know about this report that Obama may reduce troop levels in Iraq to 3,000 by the year's end. The Pentagon saying, we were thinking more like 20-something.
Yeah. It's either a really brilliant strategic move on the Obama administration's part or a really stupid move.
How so?
Okay, it's a brilliant move if what they're doing is forcing the Iraq government's hand.
Right.
Because we can't leave troops there under the Status of Forces Agreement unless Iraq asks. It's sort of like a vampire, you know. You can't be asked to cross. You have to be asked.
You kick him out of your house.
Yeah. Vampires are very hot these days.
And so what this might be is a brilliant move by the Obama administration to let the Iraqi government know we're on our way out of here unless you guys ask us, because they have not yet asked. Now, maybe what that does is force the hand. On the other hand, this could be a really stupid move, and what it may be is the precursor of, in fact, a decision to really pull more or less completely out of Iraq, and that is literally snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Right. If we actually ended up with only 3,000, that would be bad news.
Yeah. And I think that the likelihood of ethnic and sectarian violence breaking out again. Muqtada al-Sadr, who is a Shiite militiaman who had been the biggest thorn in the side of in the Civil War, one of the biggest players, who all of a sudden laid down his arms in the middle of the Civil War. If he now picks them up again, I think that is a major...
So the Iraqi army is not ready?
No, and the Iraqi political environment isn't ready, and mostly Iran is ready, and that's the problem. It's been the problem all along. In that part of the world, Iran and Iraq, it's been a Sunni Shiite standoff. In the 1980s, when the Iraq and Iran had their war against each other, I mean, as my old boss Henry Kissinger said, it's the one war you want to go on for a really long time and nobody to win. They held each other in check, and now with Iraq, a weakened country, it is no longer holding Iran in check. And if Iran takes advantage of the U.S. precipitous withdrawal and either foments civil war within Iraq or, later on the road. And I think that the one indicator for me that was the tipping point was the Kurdish leader, Barzani. Iraq has sort of three parts, right? Sunni, Shiite, Kurd in the north. The Kurds in the north have been pretty self-governing. It's been the safest and most secure part of Iraq. If he's come out and said, look, don't leave, I think that's an indication.
What is your estimation or the Pentagon's estimation on how long, then, we need to be there?
Well, you can't be there forever. You've got to take the training wheels off the bike at some point. But to go from 45,000 to 3,000 in a matter of months, I think leaves a vacuum. I would rather see a steady withdrawal, absolutely for sure, but a steady withdrawal to see at each point, can the Iraqi government hold its own if we take another 5,000 out, another 5,000 out.
KT,
to pull them out all at once, I think, leaves a hole.
I didn't mean to step on you, KT. I'm sorry. I looked at this story about reducing troop strength down to 3,000 by the end of the year, and here's what I drew from it. Tell me if you think I'm right or I'm wrong. I think that this is actually being proposed. I think it is something that the Obama administration would like to see happen. I think some folks at the Pentagon got wind of it and started screaming bloody murder. It got picked up by FoxNews.com, and now all of a sudden that the story is out there and somebody got caught red-handed trying to do this, they're backing away from it. That's what I think.
I think that, my guess is that falls into the second category, the really stupid category, and I think you're absolutely right. There's an expression at the Pentagon, slide up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes. Right. And I think this may be either a trial balloon on the part of the White House, or, like you said, they've made their mind up. That's what they want to do, and the military guys went nuts.
Well, it was we have to say flatly denied by the White House, but I think once it became known, I think they had no other choice but to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But the bigger picture here is we're pulling out of Afghanistan. I think a civil war is likely to ensue. Our relations with Pakistan are rotten. And now, if we are really pulling out of Iraq, take a step back and say, what does this say about America's military presence in the region? And we're withdrawing from the Middle East. And I'm not sure I don't think we want to be completely withdrawing from the Middle East. I do think we need to reassess where we put our resources and put more of them in Asia and in the Pacific and in the Navy, and withdraw. I think it is a good idea to get out of parts of the Middle East, but to jump out precipitously within a matter of months to go from hundreds of thousands across the region to nothing, I think is probably a big mistake.
Well, we're 4 days away from the 10th anniversary of 9/11. What are the broad lessons learned, things that we did well, things that we haven't done well since that terrible day 10 years ago?
Well, I was down in Lower Manhattan and saw it happen. And so for me, everybody in New York assumed there would be another attack within days. I think everybody in the country thought that. And so if you, again, step back, the good news is that there was never a major attack again. And I think that that we really did foil a lot of attacks that were in the works, as we've now seen. But chasing al-Qaeda out of Afghanistan really, and eliminating a lot of them, that really did not a lethal blow, but it really distracted and made it unable to carry out a lot of the attacks, the immediate attacks they had planned. Now that's the good news. The bad news is that al-Qaeda has splintered, and franchises are now all around the world. So while the core of al-Qaeda is greatly weakened and probably on its final death throes, it's spawned a number of franchises around the world that are still going. Now, I think the other bad news is that in our miscalculations in Afghanistan and in Iraq, we have spent a lot of lives and treasure chasing al-Qaeda, which perhaps in retrospect we did not need to do.
Has it morphed now into al-Qaeda is not necessarily the issue, or these individual splinter groups of al-Qaeda?
The splinter groups are the issue.
Yeah.
But so far, the splinter groups do not appear able to pull off any major and big attacks. If most of the things they're doing are like the Times Square bomber, the underwear bomber. All those things would cause death and destruction, but not on the scale of the Twin Towers or the Pentagon.
All right. 744 KT, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.